Hello and welcome back to Freelancer, where in the last episode we bought a new ship and now we're on our way to get some more fun stuff and money. So let's actually try to go there. Let's go to Cambridge. Leeds, where we're currently at, is sort of the northernmost system. And we've also been to New London, and there's also Edinburgh, and what's the other system name? Dublin, I think, and Cambridge. And we're going to Cambridge now. There's also Manchester, which you'll probably overlook in a casual single-player playthrough because it's basically between Bretonia and Liberty, for which you have really no reason to go right now because Liberty doesn't really like you. So there's that. So I'll probably also not go there right now because there's really no reason to go there. There's no interesting wreck there. I think there's no wreck there at all. And there's a bounty hunter station. Yay! So I can shoot down more bounty hunters. That's sort of the only reason for why I might go there, but that's not a good enough reason. So let's actually not go there. How about that? There's mollies. You know what? I'm just gonna ignore ya. I'll just go to the trade lane and go somewhere else. I don't really care about you. Come on. Alright. I think I'll make a small pit stop on Panel New London because it's London, yeah, so that's good enough reason, right? And here's to hoping that there's gonna be no outcast battleship encounter along the way, which would screw me up. Alright. There's also an interspace commerce station here, which is technically a Liberty corporation. But for some reason they don't hate me. Just the Liberty Police, military, special forces. Those people hate me. The Liberty corporations actually haven't quite caught up with the issues surrounding me, which is good because they have treaties and stuff that also protect them in Bretonia and other territories. So if they were hostile to me and there were some around here, then I couldn't really land because they're saying we're hostile to you because interspace commerce is an ally of us. So, there's that. It's raining. Who's surprised? Raise your hand. New London actually has pretty interesting prices for certain things. I think artifacts is actually. I think concerning artifacts, it's actually one of the better selling artifact places around here. That didn't really make sense. And there's other interesting things that you could trade, like luxury food. If you bring that from here to Manhattan, which is quite a long trip, but you make a ton of profit doing that. But they're also perishing along the way. So for every minute or so that you waste around, you'll lose some. You can circumvent that by landing somewhere along the way and then basically selling them and rebuying them, which doesn't lose you any money, but they get refreshed sort of because the stack then starts to deteriorate from the beginning again. But you also lose effective playtime by always landing somewhere, so yeah, it's a little bit weird. You probably want to make you probably want to find out some sort of middle ground between stopping everywhere along the way and losing lots of these highly perishable stuff, or just trade something else. There are actually very many interesting things to trade, and since the prices are not dynamic, as I mentioned in the beginning, you can basically pick a route and then do it over and over. The optimizing comes sort of into play by finding something that you by finding a profitable route from A to B, and then on the route back from B to A, you find some sort of detour over point C and D, where you can sell other things that you could buy in D along the way. So that you don't just go one way and then with basically nothing worthwhile on the way back, and then you have to go the same way again. Basically, want to find a round trip that leaves you not flying around without anything somewhere along the way. So. But there's some interesting and scenic routes, no doubt about that. And if you're doing a Freelancer multiplayer server and you want outrageous amounts of money for some reason, then a pretty decent way to get lots of money. I mean, probably a better way to get just the money than just doing missions. Especially if you're using mods who have better transport ships. Like. In the game, there are actually transport ships who have a much higher capacity of goods, but have no shields. But you can't buy them anywhere as a player. Basically, only can buy freighters and not real transport ships. So there are mods who basically make them available. And if you can live with flying around without a shield, and that's actually pretty interesting when you can carry multiple thousands of wares. You can actually make a real profit that way. But in the unmodded version of the game, then that's sort of limited, because the biggest freighter that you can get lets you carry 275 pieces, and even if you make like a profit of 1,000 per goods, which is actually a lot, except some very specific routes, then yeah, you're sort of limited in what you're gonna make as a profit, compared to what you could make if you were using a highly trained battleship and do some of the high-end standard missions, which would give you something like 200,000 credits per mission. So
you're all clear. Nothing unusual.
Of course, doing those missions is a little bit more dangerous, but on the other hand, yes, they're a little bit more dangerous, but you can also get additional loot by defeating enemies. So, but you also make enemies by defeating people. So that's the other thing. You can basically trade all around as long as you like. Nobody really cares. As long as you don't shoot anybody down along the way, they're not gonna bother you. So, actually, something I didn't really talk about is, right now I basically have all access codes unlocked. So basically I could really go anywhere in this game. Which, with anywhere, I really mean anywhere except maybe very few minor exceptions that will be unlocked further in the story. So if I wanted to do, I could go to like Rhineland and see what's up there. I couldn't actually buy much, because most of the stuff that I would be interested in buying is sort of regulated by me not having enough levels. Like here, I also couldn't buy this Type 2 version of the heavy fighter of the Bretonians because of levels. So, as tempting as it would be to get a large amount of money here and go to Rhineland and buy like a Rhineland heavy fighter, you actually can't do that because levels.
I'm scanning your cargo bay for contraband. You've got nothing here I'm looking for.
And you can't without finishing the single player campaign, you can't really progress higher than level 17, which limits you quite a lot in what sort of ships you're able to buy. So that's something to consider doing that. I mean, you can technically fly around, and some places are actually interesting, but you can't buy better ships than where you're supposed to be right now because of levels. And yes, you could find better weapons and wreckages, but you can't use them because you don't have a ship that's capable of mounting them. So there's really not much point in flying around other than just for the fun of it, and getting shot down in the process. You run into high-end bounty hunters right now. So that's what I don't want to go, I think. At least one of them that I want to find here. I think there's 2 wrecks here, actually. It might take some time before I find the second one.
Sensor efficiency reduced.
Oh, that just had an outrageous amount of gold. Where was the other one? Was it also this nebula, or was there something behind this one? I think it's actually back here somewhere. What? Oh, I gotta figure that out along the way. As I was saying, I could basically go anywhere, but it doesn't really get me much advantage in the main storyline because I can't really do anything with that in the most cases. There are a few exceptions, but really not that many. And I think the few exceptions that I could do are not worth the effort of actually going there. Right, one interesting thing might be to get a very special weapon from the Corsairs. They actually have sort of special weapon type that specifically shoots down shields like they were a piece of paper. I think there also exists a class 5 version of that weapon, but is it worth to actually go to a Corsair base right now? And I would also have to work on my reputation with them a lot more than I already have. So, nah, I don't think so. Yeah, interesting, no doubt, but is it worth it? I doubt that. There actually is a Corsair base right behind this jump hole here. Maybe I can just show it for you know, funsies. But first I want to find a wreck that's around here somewhere. I think it's around here somewhere. I may be wrong, but then that happens, right? I may be wrong on occasion.
Objective reached. Go to.
Where was that? Thought it was around here somewhere. I don't think it's that far that way. Let's actually just go here. If I didn't find it, then I might have to look it up. Or was it in Omega 5? I don't think so. It's here, yes. I'm not going crazy yet. Alright. Corsair ship Karas, intercepted and pursued by armed forces patrols several weeks ago, may contain artifacts. Yeah. I think these artifacts would just bring us over the level cap.
Trent, this is Junie. I finally found a lead that might help us find Professor Quintain. Meet me on Cambridge. I'll be waiting for you in the bar.
Cambridge, she said. Strange coincidence that we're already in Cambridge. But actually, let's go to Omega 5 and check out the Corsair base just for the fun of it. And probably also sell our artifacts there. Not for quite as much money as I could sell them on New London, but do I actually want to make all the way back to New London right now? I don't think so. I could probably sell them on Planet Cambridge though. That'd probably be worth more there than on the Corsair base. No, I'm not entirely sure about that. Anyway. We're right behind this jump hole in the Omega 5 system. The Omega systems are actually part of a bigger cluster of systems that are sort of not under control of any of the major houses. This is basically very dangerous Borderlands territory here right now. So here we have ships with like class 7 weapons, which is crazy. I really don't want to fight these guys.
Your request to dock is granted.
And
to dock 1.
well, Let's just make a quick pit stop here. Hessians. Here the Corsairs are fighting endless wars against the Red Hessians. So that's something. Like I previously said, so this may serve as an example. Here's like you can actually buy a Legionnaire Type 2, which I don't have a correct level for actually. Which is basically the same ship we have, but with the option to use a torpedo launcher instead of the countermeasure missiles, which actually becomes more and more interesting as the story progresses. But I don't really need that right now, and I don't want to use an additional 45k just for having the option to use a torpedo launcher. But as I previously said, I could buy really great ships here if I had the money, but if I needed the money I could probably get it. And I need level 28 in order to purchase this, which won't happen for quite a while. So that's that. So basically you're very much limited by levels on what you can buy at this point in the game. Which is also good because then the story doesn't become too easy. One interesting thing that I am buying here now that I'm here is the advanced countermeasure dropper. Which is basically a modification to our countermeasure dropper that we have that has a 20% higher effectiveness. It uses different countermeasure flares though, so I can probably sell my countermeasure flares that I had at this point. They're basically the best countermeasure droppers that are in the game, and I already have them now, so that's sort of decent. These are the weapons that I've been talking about. They're basically a little bit more effective than the class 4 version of the Outcast weapons, but are more energy effective. So they're interesting, no doubt. They're really interesting weapons, and if you're using lots of guns, then they're pretty useful because their energy efficiency is actually pretty important. For me right now, it's really not that much of an issue. I think I only need one of those turrets. So I'm gonna keep them, because there may come a time when I have more weapon slots in my ships and might actually think about using them again, but right now I'm not gonna. You can also buy advanced thrusters here. Yay. They're only slightly better than the heavy thrusters, but I'll take what I can. Also can't buy power plants because they're also level restricted. Alright. How much do you give me for my what? Nothing. That's disappointing. I guess I'll buy some more and hope that the people on Cambridge like artifacts, I guess. Or take these to London, right? But London is not that far away. It's basically only 2 jumps away, and I can make like 1,000 credits for each tour, but only on this way. On the way back, there's not really that much efficient stuff. But let's see how much I get there for that in Cambridge. And let's hope that nobody shows up and says, "Yup, want your cargo."
Alpha 1-1. This is Cadiz. You are cleared for launch. Good luck out there.
Let's just go before anybody decides differently. But yeah, the entire universe is open at this point. There are some mods where your maximum weapon class in the ship is not limited, so basically you can use any weapon in any ship. If I were using that, then flying around the universe right now and investigating wrecks and enemies to get better weapons would actually be a really interesting thing to do. But I think that makes things way too easy, so I'm very happy that the mod doesn't offer me this option here, so that the fights will remain manageable but challenging. And that I don't return with like, "Yo, what up? I got a couple of class 10 weapons here. Who wants some?" Getting a big enough a big enough power source to actually use them a lot is a different issue again, but there are ways around that, and some of the higher class weapons are actually pretty energy efficient. Like the higher class Corsair weapons are actually don't actually use that much more energy than my current weapons do for a lot more damage, so that would actually be interesting at that point. But I digress. There are a few mods out there, and I think the whole concept of being able to use any weapon in any ship is actually interesting, because then you can make a choice of a ship not because this ship can use better weapon classes, and better weapon classes are a lot better than not better weapon classes, but rather on design and on how many weapons they field and where. So I think it's actually a pretty interesting concept, but for the single player campaign it just makes stuff way too easy if you abuse it. And I'm one of those people who will always preach to not abuse it, but I'm gonna abuse the shit out of that. So let's hope I fetch some good prices for these artifacts on Cambridge. Ginny said she was waiting at the bar this time, right? No. In the bar, alright, so I can land on Cambridge without triggering the cutscene. That's good. Oh no, there are outcasts here. Oh fuck. Oh dear fuck. Am I being followed? Oh really? Whoa, 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 whoa. I'll actually try to land here, although it's pretty suicidal if I mess it up. I mess it up a little, but wasn't get shot at by some reason. Anyway. So, how much money do I get for my artifacts here, people? That's totally disappointing. I mean, I made money because on Cadiz it was even less than the normal base price of 270, but you know what? I'll actually play the greedy card here, and I'll be doing a quick artifact drop on New London off screen. In the next episode, I'll meet you back here on Planet Cambridge, and we're gonna go to the bar and talk to Junie. But don't call her. I was here earlier and just went away again to get some money. All right? Okay? Okay? I'll see you next time. Have a good one.